In this video, I'm going to be walking you through exactly what I did to take my one-to-one coaching program to the $100,000 mark. This time last year, I crossed six figures just from that one program in my business, and I'm going to tell you exactly what went into that and how I did that and how you can do that for your program as well. Now, the six-figure mark is a mark that most programs will never ever hit. Most programs, most offers will not cross this mark. Most will not get there, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I've done to actually make sure that my program has hit that within just a few years and how I help my clients also do the same and really show you what goes into actually building a six-figure program, not just a six-figure business. Before we dive into exactly how I have done that, I have put together a masterclass and I have just a few free spaces left. It's happening on the 27th of January. You can check it out in the link in the description. It is called 5 Funnels to Six Figures, and it is about how can we figure out what are your 5 funnels to help you take your specific program for your specific business to the six-figure mark this year in 2025. So if there are still spaces left, there will be the link in the description, so make sure you go and sign up there. And let's jump into the strategies. So firstly, I am so excited to speak about this topic because I think most people don't teach this. Most people don't hit this mark, let alone actually talk about how you can hit this mark in your business, because a lot of programs just don't get to six figures. Most programs will make some money and then we'll move on to the next thing. Then we'll create something new, or we'll have a whole big offer suite with 20 different programs in, and that is really not needed to hit that six-figure mark. And also, I think it is so much easier to take one program to six figures versus taking an overall business to six figures. And I'm going to tell you why. And I think one big thing that has really gone into that for me is really having this program as a core focus in my business, not just for a few weeks, not just for a few months, but for years. For years, this has really been a big focus of mine. And even from day one, I knew that I wanted this to be the core of my business, and everything else has really been built around this. And I've really operated with that business model of everything is leading towards here. All roads are leading towards here. And that is the first strategy I would really recommend for you in terms of actually selling your one-to-one to the point of making six figures from this, is actually all roads kind of have to lead here. Your business kind of needs to be centered around this. This can be the core of everything you're doing, as in we're not launching this program and then not speaking about it for a year and then not selling it, not talking about it. Everything is really leading in this direction, and also you're consistently showing up and selling it and talking about it, and it really is just the centerpiece of your business, essentially. I feel like so often we get that almost shiny object syndrome of really wanting to, launch something new and pick something new because that feels more exciting over there. And I absolutely get that, especially with an evergreen program such as one-to-one. It's really easy for us to say, I've sold it 50 times already. If someone was going to sign up, they would have signed up by now. So let's jump over and sell something new. Let's pick something new. Let's put that together. That feels more exciting to sell, even though it's more work to obviously create that new thing and put all of that together. Really, for me, the big distinction between one-to-one being something that, I sign a few clients, which is where I feel like most people are at, and most people stay at in their business, is one-to-one being the thing of, maybe we'll have a couple of clients at a time. The big thing that's really taken it from being that level to actually being the main part of my business is over 90% of my income. It hit the six-figure mark over a year ago now. The big thing that has taken it to that place is I haven't switched what I'm selling, I've just switched how I'm selling it. So this whole time I've been selling one-to-one for literally years. It's been the main thing I've sold, but it hasn't got boring, it hasn't got repetitive, it hasn't been that impression of I'm just saying the same thing every single time, because I'm switching up how I'm selling it. I'm switching up the external coating on it, essentially. I'm switching up the jacket that it is wearing. I'm really focused on talking about it in different ways, talking about it in different angles, and repackaging the same thing as well. For example, if I'm going to do a, sales-focused masterclass and going to sell one-to-one off the back of that, I can really talk about one-to-one through the aspect of sales, knowing that everyone there is looking for support with sales, right? You can talk about it from different angles. And again, a program like one-to-one is so nice because it gives you that freedom and flexibility to do that. Because you talk about so many aspects within such a high-level program, you can really dial in and focus in on specific aspects of your program through January, and then another aspect through February, another aspect through March. And that can be such an effective way to sell the program, it not feel boring for you as the person selling it every single day and talking about it, and not feel boring for your ideal client as well, because they're seeing you talk about it in different ways. But really the key here is just keeping you talking about it, because regardless of, again, how it sells in the first few months, so many people will decide, okay, I didn't sell out my one-to-one in 3 months of talking about it, so we're going to stop talking about it. Not the way to go at all. Regardless of how many spots you sell in your first few months or anything like that, if you've decided you want this to be a core part of your business, then actually sticking with this and continuing to sell that and continuing to treat it as the core of your business, because it's not usually what you're selling that needs to be switched, it's how you're selling it. So just trying out those different ways and selling it in different creative ways allows you to mix it up, allows you to get that kind of newness sense to it, allows you to build in that natural urgency, even though it's evergreen, but it really is the center of your business. All roads are leading here. Everything you're doing is selling people towards this and moving people closer towards working one-to-one with you. If you want to see an example of this, last year in 2024, I used just 5 funnels specifically to sell my one-to-one coaching program. I sold $69,000 of one-to-one coaching spaces just from these 5 funnels alone. So stupidly simple. And I wrote them up in a Google Doc for you so you can really see the breakdown of what I did, how did I sell one-to-one, and how did I really mix this up and keep this creative and all of those things. So if you're wanting the link to that, go to the link in the description, go to my Instagram and DM me the word funnels, and I will send that straight over to you. It's just a completely free Google Doc that you can just have a browse through and see all the strategies that I actually used all broken down. Now, this approach of all roads leading towards one-to-one, while not just switching, you're not switching what you're selling, but actually instead switching how we're selling it, i.e. the route that we're taking towards someone getting there, is so helpful and is honestly one of the best pieces of advice I would give to anyone who is looking to sell one-to-one when you don't have many one-to-one clients at the moment, you haven't really sold one-to-one before, is really focused on, okay, I'm not switching what I'm selling one-to-one, that's my end goal for all of this, but I'm switching the how. I'm playing with those different routes. I'm playing with how this could be sold, because most of the time with one-to-one, I'll see we'll all put our eggs in one basket. We'll say, okay, I'm just gonna keep talking about it on Instagram stories, or I'm just gonna keep emailing saying sign up for one-to-one. And then we wonder, why is no one signing up? I've spoken about it 50 times. I'm feeling bored by this. The ideal client's probably feeling bored by this as well, because we just keep saying the same thing and hoping for a different result, right? And actually instead, when you can really look at it from the perspective of, okay, I have all these pathways. I know my end goal. My end goal is sell one-to-one spaces, but I have all these pathways. How can I fill up these different pathways, and how can I switch how I'm approaching things? Because that's then spreading the eggs across multiple baskets essentially. And it means it's completely okay if one of those doesn't really work out. If we host a masterclass and it doesn't really get any signups, that's totally fine, because we had these other 4 strategies over there. So actually diversifying not what you're selling, but how you're selling it with all roads leading towards one-to-one is my first big tip there. Now, the second thing, and I think this is one of the biggest issues that I see with people when they are not selling out their one-to-one coaching, is actually consistency with your messaging. Now, it is really hard for people to have the confidence to invest in you, especially at high ticket, especially when they're paying thousands. If you are flip-flopping your messaging every 3 weeks, if you're deciding, okay, first I work with these people and I help them with this. Then 2 weeks later, okay, now I help these people with this. If you're flip-flopping your messaging, it's really hard for your ideal client and your audience to actually have confidence in, and conviction in what you're saying you help people with, and actually trust that and build that trust with you. It's really hard for them to do that if you're constantly switching your messaging. Now, that's not saying that you have to use the exact same wording every single time, but having a real anchor point to your messaging of, this is what I help people with. Yes, the wording around that can change and how we talk about that and the lens we're talking about that through, but we have this anchor part of our messaging, i.e. the elevator pitch. What is it that you help people with? What is that statement? And we always come back to that. We always help people with that. It makes it so easy for people to invest in us, right? Because if you've been talking about the same message for 2 years straight, if you've been sharing the same client results, helping them with the same transformation for 2 years straight, it is really easy for someone to invest in you. It's really easy for someone to trust that you can actually help get them that specific result. It's really easy because they can see that you've done it and they've been watching along this whole time. Especially knowing as well that people who are buying high ticket typically are going to take a little bit longer to convert than they would if they were buying a $50 ebook, for example. It's going to take a little bit longer. They're going to watch a little bit more. They're just going to want to consume a bit more content because we need to build a little bit higher level of trust, and that's totally okay. But if during that process, when they are building that trust with you, when they are binging your content, when they are consuming everything you're putting out and deciding if they want to work with you, if you're then changing your messaging because you don't feel like anyone's actually watching and you feel like you need to switch it and this sounds shinier over here, it's not easier. And I think every single time you really do change your messaging, you absolutely can change it again if you are going through a big pivot or anything like that. But realistically, you have to know and be okay with every time you're changing your messaging, you're kind of pushing yourself back a few steps. And it's going to take a little bit longer to get to the point you were before you changed your messaging in terms of people understanding and knowing what you do. For example, with me, I've used the same messaging for a ridiculous amount of time, so many years now, and people know me for the person who focuses on strategic simplicity in business, builds up consistent monthly income. I talk a lot about helping you to double your monthly income. I talk a lot about freedom as well within your business. I talk about these things and I've been talking about these things for years. So people know me so well for that. And they know that if they're wanting to build up consistent monthly income in their business, I'm the person they would go to, because not only do my client results represent that, because I've been focused on the same message and I've been getting the same results working with the same type of people for years around this specific transformation in this specific area, I have also been talking about that. So when they're seeing my content, my messaging is staying the same. I'm really a person they can trust because they can see that this is what she helps people with. She has been consistent with this. Now, the third thing I did to hit a six-figure one-to-one program and to create this, and that you can too, is actually a daily focus on sales. Now, we all hear sell daily, and I think a lot of times we hear it, but we don't quite hear it. We don't really think about it and do it in the way that we maybe know we should, maybe know we could, or we're hearing that advice and thinking that means, okay, just post your same story slides and templates up on Instagram stories every day and you're good. And I think actually the point to that isn't necessarily saying just go and post the same things and just say the same words every single day. That's not the point of it. The point is every single day we're just having an intention towards, okay, can I take 10 minutes to look at the sales side of my business? Let's just have a look of where we're at. And some days that can very much be, hey, there was this lead from a couple of weeks ago who'd been interested, who hasn't yet signed up. Let me go reach out to that person. Sometimes it can be, actually, I was thinking about that person who I had a call with a month ago who, the full one-to-one hadn't been a good fit for, but I'm about to open some intensive sessions. So maybe I could reach out and ask her if she'd want an intensive session to book in. It can be as simple as that. And I think a lot of the times we just don't take the time to really sit with the sales side of the business. We're so focused on marketing and putting the content out and scheduling the emails and trying to get ahead on Instagram posts and all of those things, which are amazing. But realistically, they're bringing in the audience, sure, bringing in some leads some of the times, but it's really the sales side which is going to get you real firm leads for your business, the real warm leads who are actually going to convert, and the sales at the end of the day. So actually taking some time each day to really just sit with the sales side and look at what actions would I want to potentially take around here. If you're looking for different ways to sell as well, I have a 30 sales activities completely free list. It is so helpful. They're not just your boring go sell on Instagram stories each day. They're different creative ways that will actually make you sales based on me and my clients, what has worked really well for us. And that can be a whole month of sales actions for you there. So you can set yourself a little challenge. The link's in the description for that. So go and download that if you haven't already. But again, I see so many people selling a one-to-one program, but struggling with selling the one-to-one program because we're so focused on the marketing side. We're focused on, okay, to sell my one-to-one program and sign new clients, I'm going to really focus on, I'm going to put loads of content out, I'm going to send all these emails, I'm going to be showing up on Instagram stories, and that's it. And then we just kind of hope and cross our fingers and hope for the best that the clients are going to be coming in, versus sales is actually being more proactive and looking at, okay, how can we find some leads? What can we use to generate some leads here? And from that, how can we actually close those leads? How can we turn those into clients then? So actually taking a little bit of sales time versus just marketing time makes the world of difference in terms of actually getting clients and getting consistent clients as well, especially to the point of that 100K level. I think so many people, one-to-one will very much be that program where we'll get an occasional sale, and it just kind of is when someone happens to reach out. It's when someone happens to inquire, and it feels like we don't necessarily have a lot of control over when that happens. So it feels difficult for a lot of people I know to have it as their core program because we don't know when someone's going to reach out. We don't know when someone's going to be interested in one-to-one coaching. Whereas actually with these sales actions, you can more so predict and plan for when this is happening because you're intentionally creating this versus waiting for someone to slide into your DMs. And then the fourth and final thing, which really contributed towards me hitting the six-figure mark in my one-to-one program, is making it easy for people to invest in me. I make it so easy for people to decide to work one-to-one with me. And I'm going to share a few examples of what that looks like. And I want you to think about how you could do this for yourself as well. Just, are you making it hard for someone to make the decision to actually work with you? Can you make it easier for someone to make that decision? For example, with me, a perfect example of this is I have a full testimonials page on my website, right? If you go to it, you can see the link in the description. You can check out my website there. But if you go and look at that testimonials page, I have about 20 testimonials on there. 20 from my one-to-one clients. You can scroll through. I think about half of them are video testimonials as well. So you can literally watch someone speaking about their experience working with me. And it's kind of hard to decide not to work with me after that, right? If you're considering working with me and you read through 20 individual people talking about their amazing experience, the results they got, how much they grew their business, how simple things felt, etc., it makes it easy to want to work with me, right? I'm not making it difficult for someone to decide to work with me. Also, again, I have a whole page now, a sales page for my one-to-one coaching where you can see, okay, what does my process look like? You can see the exact 3 steps I really focus on with my clients. Again, see some more testimonials as well. See what I really do with my clients and what one-to-one really looks like. So again, I'm making it really easy for people to decide to actually work with me because I'm giving them the resources they need. I'm giving them the things that I know they're gonna be deciding over, the questions they're gonna have, the objections they could potentially have. I'm giving them the answers on a silver platter. I'm making it so easy for them to actually make that decision to work with me. Because if someone's reading through, for example, an email that I've sent talking about working with me one-to-one, and they're thinking, okay, but would I be able to get results because I'm a web designer and I'm not sure if she'd be able to help me specifically. And then they get sent over to my testimonials page and you can see a testimonial from a web designer who, true story, has doubled her income working with me within just 60 days. It's really a great sign then that clearly you can do the same because I've worked with that type of person, I've got this type of results, etc. I also very much speak to different types of buyers as well because absolutely some people, and I would say it's definitely me as well, are very much the logical buyer. They are saying, okay, I want to see the details, I want to see the testimonials, give me the numbers and the data, all of those good things. Some people are definitely that type of person, and also there's some people who are more emotional buyers and are more based off of the feelings that you're giving them. And for me, that is very much that feeling that comes through in my program of that simplicity, that ease, that freedom, that breath of fresh air when business just feels a little bit more organized, a little bit simpler suddenly. It doesn't feel like this chaotic mess anymore. A lot of my clients experience that. So I really speak to that as well in terms of, you can even see the branding and the visuals. That speaks to that really nicely. Of course, there's a lot of beachy, palm tree kind of vibe going on over there. But I really speak to that in terms of talking about this freedom side as well and talking about what that actually looks like and what is the why behind the work that I do with clients. What does this actually, yes, create for you in terms of the tangible side, but what does that mean for your business and life? How does that actually impact you? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis for you? I talk a lot about that as well because I'm really speaking to that type of buyer. So again, thinking about different types of people because naturally we'll lean into our own buyer type and speak about that specific way of selling and that specific way of getting people to buy. If you're a very logical buyer, you might be really hardly leaning on the, the numbers, the stats, the client results, all those things, but not speaking about the emotional side. So actually considering where am I perhaps missing speaking to different buyer types and leaning into those a bit more as well. And then another way that I make it really easy for people to actually make the decision to work with me is I give them multiple different entry options towards working with me. So for example, right now I've been talking about recently some intensive sessions that I've been doing with clients. So it's a really great way that people can get in, kind of try before they buy a little bit, get a bit of experience working with me to decide, okay, do I want to work more long-term with this person by just having a couple of calls together? We have a week in between where we have messenger support as well. Can get some amazing results inside that time frame, but essentially it's a little bit of a try before you fully buy essentially and fully commit to working with me inside a 6-month program. I also as well have 2 tiers to my 6-month program. So I started doing this because I realized that actually a lot of my clients that were coming to me are either mums who are super busy, they maybe have a second business as well, they are maybe in a corporate job and building this on the side, and a lot of people are just very, very busy. So actually I created a second tier as well for my one-to-one coaching where there's less calls because I knew that that was a potential objection people would have, a potential issue is, okay, do I necessarily want to be adding 3 extra calls a month into my calendar if I'm really focused on freedom, or would I almost prefer the vibe of having a business coach in my back pocket of just, I can pull it out and I can kind of ask you questions on the go whenever I'm wanting to without needing to have these extra calls scheduled and kind of coach through that. So we'll coach through Spotlight, my messenger app, where we will then actually work together and do all the coaching through that kind of medium, but it means I'm essentially business coach in your back pocket. So a lot of clients really love that approach, and around half my clients are on that package. So I specifically created that because, again, I knew that that was a potential question and objection that I was getting come up. So I created that as an alternative there. So again, looking at where can you actually create potentially additional ways that people can come into your space based on just the feedback you're hearing as you're going through the months, as you're going through the years of promoting this. See what people's questions are, see what people's potential hesitations and objections are, and then make it, again, easy for them to actually jump into working with you by creating options that make it just a really simple decision for them to actually take that first step and start working with you. Those are the big things that I have really done that have contributed towards my one-to-one program hitting 6 figures at the start of last year, at the start of 2024. Honestly, most people, most service providers, most coaches, it is not a skill issue. Most people can very easily hit the 6-figure mark in their program. It is just a case of the marketing and the sales really being dialed in around those. So if that is something you are wanting to improve, absolutely check out the masterclass in the link in the description as well and sign up. If we have any spaces left, we have a couple at the point that I am filming this and this video is going up. So make sure you sign up if you have not already, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you hit the like button if you found this helpful, so I know you want more kind of breakdowns like this, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And I will see you in the next one next Monday.